Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to African Spiritual Conversations. And we are back up in here today. Sorry we missed you all yesterday. But we're back today. And how y'all doing today? Queen Mother's in the house. How y'all doing?
I'm
Good.
doing
Good.
wonderful. Just
Good.
wonderful.
So I figured that today we are going to talk about spiritual elevation. And what does that look like? We hear people talk about that a lot, to elevate one's train of thought or what you're feeling or thinking. And I kind of wanted to look at that today. When you think of spiritual elevation, what comes to your mind? What's your definition? What do you think that is?
Hmm.
Spiritual elevation.
Okay, that can mean a whole lot of it, a bunch of things. Spiritual elevation. Some people use it to mean a raising of their consciousness. Some people use it to mean elevation of our ancestors or spirits that have transitioned. Um, so we have to kind of look at a myriad of and then just one's elevation through their lifetime. We certainly aren't who, I hope we're not, who we were 10 years ago or 2 years ago or 1 month ago. So we're constantly elevating. And then we get into, you can get into things that are a lot more esoteric in terms of elevation. Um, but certainly when I think of elevation, I always think of elevating those who have transitioned and doing the rituals that are necessary to help them get through to the next realm or the next dimension. Um, and when you speak, for me, when I speak of spiritual elevation, I'm also speaking of, or I can be speaking of, a vibratory frequency. In other words, what's the frequency on which we're vibrating? Because all we are is energy. So it's a constant movement of vibration that gets into cosmetic law. That's the law of the universe. So nothing is static, everything is moving. Nothing is solid that we see. We give it a name and all of that, but it's not really solid. It's made up of molecules and they're constantly vibrating and moving. We just happen to put a name on it. For example, Zoom. Zoom is constantly moving. That's how we get these pictures of us to sit here and have this conversation. So it's a vibe, a vibratory frequency when we're elevating. Um, whew, and more and more and more.
Okay.
uh,
Well, we want
yeah.
to also look at human beings become Orisha. That's what Ejiope teaches us. So
Mhm.
human beings are always in the process of elevation, but it's conditional. And by being conditional, what it's simply saying is you have, in order for you to vibrate at a higher elevation, you must have some conditions met, not only here on earth, but also in heaven. So, those conditions being character, development of your character, spiritual development of your character. And in order for you to develop character, you have to have a day by day work towards doing things to be more compassionate, more into kindness, more doing work that is in the community and helping not only your family, others. And so that level of human beings becoming Orisha is that in order for you to do that, the community also has to elevate you. The community has to say, this person has done such work that when they have made that transition, they are transitioning to a higher place. And that also means when they get to that status, they're able to come back and bless the community again. So, for example, we did many years ago, there was elevation of Malcolm X or elevation of Harriet Tubman to become Orisha. Rituals and things were done by the community to help them elevate and to become Orisha. You can pray and do elbow to them to help them do the work here to give their energy back to the community in order for the community to solve problems. Because that's another part of your elevation is the responsibility that you have when you elevate. That responsibility is not only to yourself and family, but it goes back to your community and your deities, because now you are engaging all that energy in order to do its said task. And that task is the salvation of your community and your world. So that's how I see elevation just on one level. Okay. And what we're striving to do. So it's striving to change my character, um, and elevate my mind in order to do the work that I said in my Odu that I was going to do. And that was to come back to this world and to do and leave the world better than it was handed to me.
Mm.
That's what I'm looking to do. And that's
Well,
what elevation is, what I see elevation as.
the sister is asking, is one of these conditions initiation or is it humility? Look, I always get that word.
Humility.
Yeah.
Humility is one, okay, and honesty, truthfulness. Honesty, yeah, truthfulness more. Initiation is a condition in terms of if you're talking about elevation in the status of a religious section, okay, then in our tradition, in the Ifa tradition, yeah, initiation would be part of that. But surely Malcolm X was not initiated into Ifa or into Orisha. Harriet Tubman might not have been, because everything I heard about her was that 9 times out of 10 she was a staunch Christian. So I think that initiation or being utilizing the energy of initiation, being that you have rites of passage that you are going to go through in order to attain a certain status, then yeah, initiation can be that if you're taking it away from the religious setting. Um, Other than that, I think that it humility on the other hand, as long as it doesn't roll into piety.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, because there's a place where one has more ego and the other one is ego less.
Mhm.
So in humility, this isn't about humility is all about service. Piety is always has an ego portion to it, where that individual is looking or acting in a way of piousness or in a way of I am or showiness. Okay. That they're showing the world that I am humble. Okay. When it's not what you show for others, is what you do. And you don't care about who knows or don't know. You can be humble and work in the background. You can be humble and just do the work that you're supposed to do. You're not worried about getting accolades. You're not doing it for the accolades. You're doing it for the simple task of making someone's life better, others' lives better. So it's not that condition I could see. Okay.
Mm.
Um, I would
That
say one was
that
saying let's be honest. I would say always be truthful.
Mhm.
that would be Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a humble man. He wasn't looking to elevate himself within the Muslim community. He was looking to free his people, and he maintained humility throughout that. He was humble enough to say, I was wrong, after he went to Mecca and saw what he saw in Mecca. So when you say humility, I think of Malcolm X, and he was certainly honest.
If I'm multiple, do you want to build on anything for there?
um, sure. Well, yeah. In I would say in terms of Ifa specifically, um, humility to your destiny, like not putting your wants before your needs in that way. Um, if you're already a part of a African spiritual tradition and you are in that as a spiritual discipline and your objective is to become Marisha, I I would say that the humility is um, to your ori, to your destiny, so that you understand that your life is led by your Godhead, and it's the full realization of yourself. So it's like they say in the metaphysical churches, you're becoming more yourself.
Mhm.
Because you're designed to become Orisha.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
just it's just an ambition that is not um, something that people talk about. Really, it's not really something that people are after necessarily. Um, Once you get into the earth marketplace, it can be a little distracting, like all the things that are going on around you and what there is to accomplish and do, and be caught up in the pursuit of things that have value here on the earth plane, um, in sometimes in place of the value of your own bloodline, lineage, or full realization as a person. Like to reach the greatest potential that you have, you would be more thinking along the lines of becoming Orisha, and that type of elevation in whatever spiritual discipline that you're in. When I think this is the issue that I have with Christianity is not that, um I think it's that the focus is on Jesus as an exception, and the idea of Christ-like is more of a concept of um, example, like all of the things that they say Jesus did, all the things they say Jesus did. Like we're talking about a story more so than is we people will debate whether or not there's a real person,
Mhm.
all that stuff, right? Well, like Bible anthropology, it'll be clear. But I'm just saying, like, from the outside looking in, because I'm not a Christian, um the idea that you can achieve this realization of yourself that allows you to move around in the world in this way that benefits other people, and also hold yourself at a high elevation. In other words, your character, your abilities, your spiritual abilities, your psychic abilities, all these different things that you're able to do. It's it's the way that I was introduced to Orisha worship. So, I don't talk about it a lot because it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, especially coming from Christianity. I've noticed that a lot of even priests will debate you down to the ground that that's not why we're here. We're not here to become Orisha. We're not made. They'll talk about how we're made or whatever, but you don't want to go all into arguing with people. I just say, just you reread Ejiobe. It's
Okay,
all
that's
right
all you
there.
got to do.
It's all right there, buddy. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, and it is. And that was that was my experience, and that's kind of the context for my approach to the tradition, is that it is about elevation, but it's conditional. um,
Mm-hmm.
and we can encourage people who are not in African spirituality. In other words, of the people that we're closest to, the people in our families, the communities that we're in, and Black people as a whole, we approach character a particular kind of way, mostly around morality. And
Mm-hmm.
we have ideas about religion that lead us away from humility into piety. And I thought that was a great point about being humble will lead you to be sometimes not dishonest, but
Mm-hmm.
you won't always say things just because they're true.
Right.
Like, you don't need to say everything. Like, everything
Right.
is not meant to be said. There are some things that are true but are not truth.
Right.
So they don't align with spiritual principle in any kind of way because of the perception, the perspective that we have on them. And so if we continue to talk about things in a particular way, like I've been trying to check myself throughout this whole like COVID experience on my perspective, because
Mm-hmm.
I was just experiencing some physical challenges before this. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm on high alert about how I feel. Oh, I got a headache. Oh, I need to lay down. I don't want the COVID. All of these different things. So it's like all of
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? But it is also it's also a heaviness to the energy of it, that I can literally feel my frequency dropping when I have certain conversations, and I have to like clean it up real quick,
Mm-hmm.
because it's bringing in some energy that I don't want to deal with. Also, it's hampering psychic ability. So when I need to go do
Mm-hmm.
something, then I have to get that off me first. So, I mean, like, these are the types of things that we deal with on a day to day, just to kind of give an example of things that we deal with on a day to day basis, that are kind of, we work to refine the way that we do things and who we are, and raise our frequency so that we have to remember that we're not our bodies. So the
Mm-hmm.
elevation is moving you up from, okay, my feet are firmly planted on the ground, and they can still be, but does your consciousness have to live in your feet? Does your consciousness have to live in your groin? Does your consciousness have to live in your chest?
Mm-hmm.
Can your head lead your body? And that's an elevation. It's the bringing up of that frequency from one space to the other. And so it's not so much, I think sometimes the tendency is to like picture far away God, and then we're trying to elevate to the heavens where God is, but these are the ways that we talk about things that may not, they don't necessarily serve us. And again, that's our perspective,
Until
like,
you find out that
Uh,
your heavenly is not in heaven, but in your Patricia, it's in the earth. Okay,
right.
so it's like I'm not trying
right.
to go up there, I'm trying to go down here. And when you think about that, the other side of that, the Christian mentality is, oh my God, you're not trying to go to heaven, you're going to hell. No,
Right.
it's not the same thing. You have a different concept of what that elevation is, because the earth is the one that has the power over all birds, meaning that it can surpass anything by absorbing the negativity off of that being
Mm,
and helping it to elevate. That's a process of elevation. Yeah.
yes.
And,
Um,
that talks about a story too of Rosun, no, a Turpan Koso, um, in a Turpani Rosun.
Okay.
Okay. And what that talks about is being very careful about how you tell your story
Mm,
and tell your story into the community. How do you tell, if you tell your truth, there's some truths you don't have to say, and there's some truths that you have to say, but you have to say it in a way that is not going to do damage.
mm,
Okay.
hmm,
So
hmm.
when you look at it from that perspective, the story was about a bird that lived in the forest or not right on the edge with the town. And she knew that the king was not a king from a kingly lineage. She
Mm-hmm.
knew that he was a pauper pretending that his lineage was that and a bag of chips. Well, the harm that it was going to do was going to cause damage to the whole town if they knew the truth. And the way she said it was by damaging and being derisive and being very caustic in how she does things. Okay. So when they told her to do their bow, she opted not to do their bow because she felt I'm telling the truth. When in
Right.
essence, she got kicked out of town because yes, you told the truth, but your truth did so much damage in the community that it caused them to step back away from their original goals of growth. So that's what you have to look at is how's this story evolving to help elevate anyone,
Yeah.
okay? And what truth are you going to tell,
Yeah.
okay?
That
So
that.
it really does come to that,
Yeah, we're echoing. Ifama
hmm
Dupe, you mentioned consciousness, and you said, well, we're echoing. You said consciousness is not in your feet, or not in your this, or not just
It
what
has to go to your
that,
head.
and then that brought to mind. Yeah, so that brought to mind the question is, what is consciousness, and is consciousness just in our head, or is consciousness all of who we are? For
No, I.
me,
Oh,
consciousness
sorry.
is all of who we are. I've
Yes, I.
had consciousness in my feet, my head, my thighs, my groin, my everything. That's all of me.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
that's
I agree. I don't mean I meant where we're operating from. So,
okay.
we have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and a superconscious
Oh,
Right,
mind.
okay,
Like
okay.
right.
where are we placing our focus to operate from? Not I agree with you, Ia, that we have consciousness in our entire body because in every cell
You have
there's
self memory.
conscious yeah, there's consciousness, so
Mhm.
that we operate, and we know that there's brain tissue placed strategically throughout the body in order
Mm,
Right.
for us to get messages and receive them in the body, but the body is here to serve the
The
ori.
spirit.
the
Yeah.
The
consciousness.
body is here to serve, right? So we
Mhm,
don't want to be serving the body when the body is here to serve. I mean, we do want to serve the body to a certain degree, like we care for it, but we don't
mm,
want to be in complete service, slave to it. We want to put everything in its proper order and sort things out so that we're operating from our highest and best part of ourselves,
mhm,
whatever we have available at any time. And
mhm,
so,
mhm,
I mean, this just what Yeye was saying made me think of speaking to practitioners. How important is it for us to be how can I say this? How important is it for us, and what are some of the ways that we can think about what we say as opposed to what we see? Like we see a lot of things.
hmm
We see a lot of
Yeah.
things, and not everything is our business, but we still see it.
hmm
You know what I'm
So
saying?
true. So true.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
mhm,
don't.
I think that one of the things that we learn in terms of modern society, and all of the technologies and things that we have available to us, is that it also becomes more intrusive into things and areas that it should not be in, but yet is pressing boundaries more and more. So It's I feel about it in the same way that I would feel about someone who just decides they want to cast on me or people that they don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, just to be intrusive. That does not elevate your consciousness. It doesn't elevate your character. It just says you're a nosy body trying to figure out what you're going to do with something. Okay. So, it's like there's so many different our um our systems of things that work in terms of how we deal with technology. I look at it like with Elay Facebook. Okay, my
Hmm.
favorite topic.
Yeah.
Elay, Elay Facebook needs an overhaul. Okay, they need a conscious, elevating overhaul because somewhere along the line, you want to ask everyone, do you think about the things that are coming out of your mouth? Do you really think about the things that you were typing with your fingers? You know, do you
Right.
really understand, that this is not going to elevate you, but it's
Yeah.
caustic. It is harsh. It is unkind. It is mean spirited, some things that people say in the
Hmm.
name of Arisha, in the
Yeah.
name of Lao, in the name of elevation. They're saying, but this is what I feel we
Right.
should be doing. Okay. And when they're told to have these conversations, to temper their conversations to more thought provoking things, more elevating conversations about where we're going as a people, where we're going in this lifetime. Matter of fact, what are the things that we can do to
Yeah.
elevate our consciousness? What are our steps to elevate and see a better way of thinking? Okay. If we had those conversations instead of the backbiting, nasty attitudes that you see when you go through the Elay Facebook side of the
They Facebook.
social media, okay? Because I sometimes, when I see some of these things out there, I wonder how anybody actually want to come in and deal with it. You know, I be sitting there saying, I wouldn't want to be part of this
Yeah.
if we can't do something different. So I think that we have to also, in our processes of elevation, we have to teach people how to elevate. What do you do? What's your steps? How are you going to, when you are working day in and day out, you got families to take care of. People are pulling at you all different types of ways. And you got to be able to sit down, breathe, and have a thought that says, I want to connect with Oladumare. I want to connect with Shango. I want to connect with Oshun. How do I feel better about me elevating to that? What's my
Yeah.
steps? How do I
Hmm.
do this?
Hmm.
Okay. And that's another process. We have to teach how to do that. Oh,
Uh,
and if we can, then we can take those steps. But I think that's
yeah.
something that we need to interject again out here into the Elay Facebook.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. Even in regards to the eBay Facebook and seeing so many people now doing lives and bringing their expertise or knowledge to the table. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think people would rather just go it alone and go out there than be a
It's
part
called
of?
unspelling.
It's
It's
called a
called
what?
competition.
Oh,
Competition.
I thought maybe because that was something greater or something. Like
Well, like what?
it's kind of like when you see churches on every corner, you think to yourself, why is there a church on every corner in the ghetto next to the liquor store? Like if you follow the Jewish tradition, when you see this, because when you're a Jewish, you have to walk to your synagogue every time you go to do whatever.
Mm.
So you will see a synagogue, but you will never see a whole bunch of them in the same neighborhood. There's usually just one. in certain
Okay.
sections. You know what I mean? And there and I had no liquor store there. So I often wonder when I see everybody going on either Facebook or Instagram, whatever, what is it that this teaching is so great? Why are we still suffering from the same thing that Christianity is suffering from, with us being all over the place, but really not being in any place?
I
They
think
don't
that's
understand the
that.
idea of egg based.
Yeah, and that's the residue of Christianity. Because if you go to these elays, most of these people that come to Ifa, am I echoing?
No, I can't hear it. I can hear your echo.
Oh, because
I can.
I get it back. I'm
What
getting it
comes
back.
from your audio? Let me mute myself. Maybe it's me. I don't hear
Um, so many of us uh, who come to Ifa come out of Christianity, and we bring a lot of that baggage. In Ifa, there's a lot of Christianity overlay and baggage, and we haven't been able to rid ourselves of that because that's the way we have been socialized when it comes to religion. But that is not the African traditional way. We just have to work our way through these issues because there's absolutely no reason for us to be having any kind of ILA Facebook or tussles or trying to get um, more godchildren than this one and all of the little things that we have, and we're human. But we've taken a lot of Christianity, a lot of priests, I shouldn't say a lot, some priests count their count their coup. They look at themselves according to how many godchildren they have. And then there are a lot of us in the Odu, in our Ita, it said you are not supposed to have any godchildren. You see, so we're still learning how to divorce ourselves from Christianity and that way of thinking. Okay, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, cool.
I was
You
trying to
know,
see if the echo was still there. So,
Okay.
okay.
either
No,
way,
I really don't hear
I
it.
think we okay.
Yeah, I think we're
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But the other
All right.
part is that when you think about what it is that we want to be able to accomplish, we also have to think about egg bay and a
Mm-hmm.
collective. Okay. That idea is what's traditional. So you want to be able to also put that idea out so that we stop you know, having the idea of competition to get this many people in. Okay, to do what? Okay, because if you have that many people, if you have over 100 people, then what are you building? What are you putting funds towards? All right,
Yep.
what programs do you have? Do you have a prison ministry? Do you have a school fund? What are your economic solutions for your organization? What are the things? Because these are things that elevate the collective.
Right.
If I want my children to not have a mindset that is from a foreign God, then that means I have to educate them in a way that is of my ilk. Okay. So if I want them to elevate to that, then I have to provide them with that education. I have to
Yeah.
provide a place for them to go. So
Yes.
we have, elevation comes in so many different layers and peels. And the amount of time that we spend on Elay Facebook, if we took that time and put it towards what we're going to build, okay, then we would do so much better. That's why I
Yeah.
holler about it all the time. Because if you're not doing productive things, this is productive. But when you're doing unproductive things and having unproductive conversations that are not going to teach you anything more about the workings of your tradition, okay? It's not teaching you anything about how to change your life, and it's not teaching you how to elevate your mind,
Yes.
okay? I can't, that's why I brought up a tour Coastal. The conversations have to be guided towards something better and bigger outside of ourselves. What is the Ori of Oludumare? How are we connected to that? What does that give us when we are fully aware of that connection? How does that open me up? How does it
Mm.
open you up to experience the cosmos?
Yeah.
Okay. And then once you experience the cosmos, your enlightened mind should be able to see a path of elevation for everything that you want and what others want as a collective. So when we get into that, changing the parameters and the dynamics of this tradition to set it on goals that will help us to do better, then we're doing something. Okay. But if we're still having, a same argument that we had 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and you still ain't found the verse that's going to tell you what it is, it's like, come on now. And that's what I mean. It's about how do we do this? So it means that when you have wisdom coming from someone, don't shoot it, okay? Don't knock it down. Listen, maybe that's a way for you to do that change. It might be that one little change in your life that's going to make things better for you.
Yeah.
So, that's the thing that I'm looking at in terms of elevation. I need change in my life. So, how do I do it? So, one, I study, I talk to other elders, I talk to my elders, because sometimes that conversation can be so in depth that it causes me to like stop, look, and listen. Okay,
Mhm.
ha, they said something. I got to think about this. I got to deliberate because
Mhm.
there's a plan working and etching in my mind. And then I tell that idea to someone else and say, hey, my elders told me this. I think it's a good idea. Is this something we can partner in and make it happen?
Mhm.
Okay. That's how we do this. We work as a collective. We work as an egg bay. When we work as an egg bay, then we're not sitting around gossiping. Okay.
Right.
We're not sitting around not doing anything. We are actually working toward a goal. And
Mhm.
that goal makes things happen. Now it's not going to be without its challenges.
Right.
Okay. But at the end of the day, you're doing something else.
Yeah.
You're doing it and taking out a plan and walking with it and doing it.
Yeah. The building part I think is very important. Like in what and the scraping, right? So
Hmm.
that's what fire is. So when we're scraping, think about how things are built and the way that we're made, the way our bodies are made. For we're talking
Right.
about manifesting things in the earth space, right? Our bodies are about the same percentage of water as the actual earth is. So that
Hmm.
conversation with other practitioners, that conversation with elders, is scraping your earth and getting
Mhm.
to that deeper truth. Just like, when you are divining, when you have conversations about Odu and conversations about spiritual principles and truths, then it's digging into you. It's getting that. It's working on your interior landscape to really um, expose and get those natural resources that you have. Like you
Mhm.
came here with a lot of stuff. We don't even scratch the surface really of what we came here with, unless that's our intention, is to elevate ourselves. But that's the way that you build up, is that you also
Mhm.
have to scrape down and
Mhm.
create a foundation that's below the earth's surface in order for you to have something firm to. You got to dig into
Mhm.
that earth in order to get to go up. So if we think about just how, just this is just basic things about how we build and forward ourselves. This is not, it's not that deep. I mean, and a lot of things that we do are simple things, but they do take a certain amount of thought. We
Mhm.
have to be very deliberate in our actions. And one of the things that, and this is going to chap a lot of hides, um because of slavery, we value productivity over the value of our actions. We often value productivity over impact. We
Mhm.
take quantity over quality very
Quality.
frequently, and we have to, as a part of our elevation as a people, um, we're gonna have to make that shift, because
Mhm.
in making that shift, we see the necessity of digging deeper within ourselves to
Yes.
connect and elevate in order to get the inspired action that will move us forward. There are times when we have been, our hands have been tied, and so we had to calculate and be very deliberate and precise in our movements. Now we do all kind of stuff with our energy and life. You know what I mean? Talk about Elay Facebook. Like, we'll be on Elay Facebook just saying random stuff, engaging in crazy conversations, watching videos that are like, this morning I had to stop myself. I was watching Love and Hip Hop, and I was like, dude, no. You just got done doing your devotion. Like, what are you trying to do here? So I
Put some
turned it
stuff
off.
in it.
Right. I started out watching the NASA video, and somehow ended up loving hip hop. And I was like, no, 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 we're not doing this today. And
Mhm.
so it's one of those things where, as you become more sensitive, it becomes more apparent to you what you're doing with your life. But we're just out here turned up doing all the stuff. We can't, it's hard to put a finger on the quality of our actions. And we are going to have to get to the place where we use inspiration rather than motivation. In other words, we have to stop trucking ourselves and just running
Mhm.
roughshod over our being in order to do something. Because 9 times out of 10, the timing's going to be exactly the same.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
thing is going to happen when it happens. Now, here's what you could do. You could take a spoon and you could dig at it, you know what I mean, all day. Or you could wait till somebody bring you a shovel and then really just get it done. And
And
so
the two of you
that's
have to
the,
work.
yeah, those are the
Yeah.
choices that we have in terms of how we move, and also that will alleviate some of the physical stress and wear and tear that we find ourselves with around the 40-50 age, where you like your body's in great decline because we've been just, trucking. We've been trucking
Mhm.
just like we going.
Working
I'm gonna get it
overtime.
done. I'm gonna muscle through it. Yeah,
Been
I'm gonna
there,
get it.
Saul. Keep on
Yeah.
trucking, baby.
Right. I remember one of my god
Was that the
sisters, like,
temptation?
that was her way. Like, she was like, I'm gonna get it done. I don't care what happens. I'm out here doing the thing. I'm doing it.
Mhm.
And when she got initiated, Defa said, you can't wake up by an alarm clock and no one can wake you up. You need to sleep till you wake up. You have to
Who?
wake up naturally. Woo, you talking about somebody who was hot? I don't think she heard nothing else that was said after that. Like she had to go back and check the notes because she was like, "What? Like what kind of day am I gonna have if I don't? The early bird gets the worm. You know what I mean? Like these are
Hmm.
things that have driven us, and we're easy to drive like that because the slavery experience was all about who could pick the most cotton.
Cotton.
Reconstruction's all about who could pick the most cotton. And that's how you win by picking the most cotton. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be out. If you ain't in the field, you
Competition.
can't pick the cotton. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's that
Yeah,
competition again. We
yeah.
we have gone
Uh-huh.
we keep going past and into a competitive mode, and that competition is not going to get us anywhere if we're trying to work as a collective and set goals. Okay? Patience is what Ifa teaches. Shouldn't Ifa. Okay? Um we have to look at how do we endure and endeavor. How do we pace ourselves so that we are doing the best job that we can do for ourselves, for our families, for our community, for our gods? Okay?
Sure.
And that's the process. So when we talk about the building, okay? The building is a plan. It's a plan that a collective sits down and says, this is the information that we have. This is how we get to this goal after we've sat down and deliberated. Okay.
Mhm.
And we start the process. If there's any objections to it, then we have an orderly discussion about it and listen to the pros and cons. It's real, we're not working off of rocket science. We don't have to be in competition in order to how fast you gonna get to heaven. Well, as soon as you die, you're gonna get there. You know,
Right.
you know, know, you
You
gotta
know, I
be
used to say
cool,
people try to hurry up and get to where their car gonna break down
right.
at. Like you
Yeah.
just you driving fast for what reason? And
And
this is
for
the
what?
thing. Like we talk about colored people time and African people being in time rather than on time, right? But think
Hmm.
about it from just a practical point of view. If you cannot afford to get into a car accident, don't you think that you should leave at just the right time so you avoid one?
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
don't have to be like you're not, you want to rush and do things according to other timetables, but we really have been in a position to where we can't afford a lot of mistakes. So it has been
Hmm.
imperative for us to move nice, so to speak. Like we
Hmm.
have to be very precise in our action, and so we don't have the luxury of falling off because we often don't have a safety net.
True.
Yeah.
If we
And
think
so
about COVID too, if we think about what COVID's impact has been on our community in terms of we're not prepared. Okay.
mhm,
How many is experiencing the cola resources not being there? How
right,
many are experiencing, because we weren't prepared for any of that, for things to shut down. But if
yes,
we had a plan of elevation, if we had a plan on things like that, then there we would find the ground and work towards planting our own stuff.
yeah,
Have a lot of the things, there are areas in on this side of diaspora that can actually bring about the same thing.
hmm,
Okay. So how are we cultivating those crops? How are we helping ourselves in the things that we already know we got a problem?
right,
Okay. So since we know we got a problem, then this time around, maybe we need to sit down and plan in case something else comes up. Because something
yes,
else is going to come up.
yes,
How,
It's coming.
it's coming. So we know it's coming. Be prepared. You know, piss poor, what is the statement? Piss poor, um, prior prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. So
hmm,
the 7 P's. And so we're looking at situations that we could change by simply doing the work to help change and have to be prepared for things. We're not doing that. So in that case, then let's find a way to do it this time around. That
Yeah.
needs to be the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Because at the end of the day, that will save you some money that you
Mm-hmm.
can put on a school fund. That will save you some money,
Yeah.
that we can put on the quote unquote building
Yeah.
fund.
Yeah.
Um, we got to change. Not only your internal landscape has to change,
Yeah.
the outward one has
With
to
land.
change.
Yeah.
Because
You
what?
got to push that out. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
a sustainable self reliance move.
Hmm.
Really. We
Yeah.
talk about circulating the dollar. Here's ways that we can circulate the dollars within our community by meeting our own spiritual needs. We don't have to,
Absolutely.
yeah, and then we could support and do commerce with the continent at any time that it's available, but when it's not, then it's not painful for us.
Hmm.
You know, we
Mhm.
haven't,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
not codependent. We have created our own sustainable sources on this soil for us to
Hmm.
be able to, you know, oh, I got to get in the car. I might have to drive all night, but I'm going to get what I need. You know, it's
Uh-huh.
available, which is a huge difference. I, I know, more and more as people go to Nigeria and are initiated, or go to other parts of Africa and are initiated into other um,
Systems.
systems, then we can begin to know what our needs are in order to practice. We
Hmm.
start to source those things also that can be sourced on this side of the ocean, and create that for ourselves. I
Hmm.
think that will be a huge part of us building our own infrastructure in this country.
Well, have we ever thought about doing things like, we can buy land cheaper over there than we can here.
Yes.
We can build shrine houses so that we have a place to stay. Cut out some of the money for the hotels and stuff. You know,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
cultivate some land. Okay,
Yeah.
that it's not rocket science to do, but if we're not working as a collective, even here, if you're working as an elay, you constantly we are in houses,
Yeah.
apartments. Okay, but how many of us are putting money together to get land, to build your own structure so that you have your office, you have your shrine, you have the places that you need to go and to work and worship. Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
This is the
Mhm.
plan. Have attachments of schools. It's not, this isn't rocket science. It's stuff other people do. Christians do it, Muslims do it, Hindus do it.
Hmm.
Why we have the mind resources. We have, matter of fact, we are top heavy,
Hmm.
seriously top heavy in education,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
psychology,
you got.
Yeah.
doctors, okay,
Yeah.
lawyers. We are top mental health counselors, okay?
Hmm.
We
Yes.
are top heavy
Yeah.
in all of these really vibrant fields, okay? And you mean to tell me that we sitting up in somebody else's apartment,
Mm.
that we still
Mhm.
paying rent, okay?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
where's our elevating thoughts taking us to in order for us to grow?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when we do these things, it's like, how many of us know that, hey, everybody's going to die? Okay. Has anybody thought to buy collective
Yes.
plots for those people in your
Yes.
Elay that don't have a place to bury their
Mhm.
own?
Right.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, we don't have that. Okay. Where are we got these resources? Sometimes cities have
Hmm.
so many extra plots. We can buy them up so
Yeah.
that when somebody doesn't have the money, they don't have to go to GoFundMe.
Right.
Okay. Your people will bury you. and take care, have a fun ready for your family.
Mhm.
These are the things that you got to do. When we're not doing that, we're not doing our job. Because your elevated thoughts have to come to, how am I going to take care of us?
Yeah.
Okay. Elevated thoughts have to do, what is my daily walk? Okay. How am I going to provide not only this, not in just this time, but provide further down the road? What other things can we do and make it happen, rather than getting into the other drama dome? Because I can't do drama. I really can't. When I see drama coming, and I have to just kind of like, eh, stage
Yeah.
left, stage right, whichever stage I got to go. I
Right.
got to find another way. So we have to, change our mind
Mhm.
about poverty mentality is something that I can't stand,
Yeah.
okay? Because it's that I can't syndrome, which really is not I can't syndrome. It's a passive aggressive way of saying I won't, okay?
Mhm.
And I will not do it. Okay, but the truth is that we have to change this poverty mentality. If you can go through and pick up a dime, a penny on the floor, and put it in a bucket, put it in a basket, and keep doing that. Take some change out your pocket, throw it in the basket. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised that in 30 days what you got. You'd be
Mhm.
surprised in how much money you have at the end of a year that you
Yeah.
can put towards good work. Okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's really
Mhm.
that simple. Okay? It's not somebody else doing it for us. It's stuff that we can do for
I got to do
ourselves.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, yeah, yeah. This
Mm-hmm.
is this is what's in the Odoo for this year. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's right.
that is. That's Obey Lar. That's
And
Obey
and
Jebbe.
the women are going to bring that forth. Listen, standing here. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, the women are going to bring forth all of those things, because that thing about the plots, the grave
Mm-hmm.
plots, I have never even given that a thought, but that is a winner, because we
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
need it. We
Yes.
need that,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
we need
I,
all the other things too. But
mm-hmm.
it's almost unbelievable how it came up in the letter of this year. It's
Mm-hmm.
so very clearly, and you're articulating it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Because that is Ifa.
Thank
That truly
Yeah.
is. That is truly
you.
Ifa. And that's what it gives to us. That's when we open ourselves up to that. And we're reading it, right now we're doing research on the verses that was not typed out. Okay. Because there's more
Mm.
to it. When you think about each Odu has
Oh.
1,680 Eshe Fas to it. That
Mhm.
means that
Mm-hmm.
Obey Lara has more verses that talk about other things of what we need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's part of our research, is to find out, okay, Oludumare, okay, Ifa, okay, Orisha Orumile, what else? Put this download. It don't have to be on my head. It could be on any head. Give us this information so that we can put it in action. Give us the energy to
Mm.
put our foot forward in spite of our fears and our doubts and our pain, and walk
Yeah.
forward with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. We have to do this. And it's not about just talking about it, it's about being about it and
Yeah.
doing
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm looking at this year, is that at
Yeah.
the end of this year, how does my grass grow?
Yeah.
Will I be able to see something more than
Mm.
what I started in? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Mhm.
talking about. So,
Mhm.
what am I planting to make sure that things don't happen like same old bull? Okay.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Because I don't
Mhm.
want the same old bull. All
Right.
right. It's got to be different. It's going to be, now, let me not got to be, it's going to be
Going
different.
to
You
be
know why?
different.
It's going to be different because I'm making a difference.
Mm.
Each one of us makes a difference in a life somewhere. We're
That's
doing the stuff we're supposed to do. So that means that if I know 100 people, y'all got to know more. Okay. And you're planting those seeds and you're going to do the work. It's that
mhm.
simple. You're doing the work. And we expect for everybody to have that same mentality and the same energy. Get out here and do the work. Don't worry about, you ain't got permission from anybody else other than Ola Dumare. They
Yeah.
already gave you permission. So if you don't do the work, it means your ass is lazy. Real simple. Okay? Do the work. That's what
Oh,
we do.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's real.
Okay?
That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
well, family, this was a great conversation about elevation.
That's good. Yes.
Ooh, I love it. You just put something out there and it goes where it's supposed to go, and the information comes like we're supposed to have it. So, family, thank you again for joining us on today as we talked about elevation and a lot of perspectives. But all roads lead to you doing your own work.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's basically when you got right down to it. You just said it basically. If you don't do your work, your ass is lazy. Ain't nothing
Hmm.
worse than people giving you stuff all around the bend and it come right back to who? You.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
accountability work. So thank
Yeah.
y'all for this conversation and we shall see you all tomorrow. All right, let me just get some music this out of here.
Bye.
Oh, double.
Oh, God.